construction industry. All around the country, there are tens of thousands of empty new-built homes unsold. And as long as they're there, who's going to build any new ones, and where are the jobs going to come in the construction sector? Our first guest this evening, Tom Parlon, Chief Executive of the Construction Industry Federation. Hello to you, Tom.
Hi, Matt.
How many houses do you reckon are standing empty at the moment, new built, unsold?
Well, CIF and the Irish House Builders have done our survey, information from HomeBond, and through our members, we reckon about 40,000 houses.
Is that all? Because a lot of people think there's an awful lot more.
Well, you get more, you get less. I'm sure there's more houses to be sold. I mean, I'd say that those are the number of houses that are owned by builders who are waiting to sell them.
Could there be a lot more as well that they've actually been renting out? Because there has been this trend of, if they can't sell them, they just decide to rent them for a few years and then hopefully sell them later on.
Yeah, well, certainly lately, I mean, that has been people who intended to sell have been pressurised for cash flow reasons to renting. And clearly, there is a number of people who've put off the decision to buy and have chosen to rent. So that market has been pretty buoyant lately. So, I mean, I don't know. There's obviously a lot of houses that are close to being finished, and there are sites that have closed down, and people have closed up sites.
Yeah, how many do you reckon are there? How many houses and apartments might there be that actually might have the roof put on them, but nothing done on the inside, standing there vacant with the potential of becoming derelict?
Well, that's obviously something that people have to make a decision. What we're in terms of the statistics, and that's why you're asking me this question. We don't have very accurate statistics. The actual statistic for finished houses is, and as soon as to be declared finished, is when they are connected to the ESB. So most people, even before they have them finished, who wouldn't have any alternative ESB supply, would have an ESB connection. And I think the figure for this year is going to come in something along with 45,000 that were connected to the ESB last year in the year 2008. So
could it be though there's tens of thousands of houses that actually haven't been finished, that you could have full estates where not only has the builder not even been able to sell them because he actually hasn't finished them, he's actually got work to do in them, but he's abandoned them at this stage until some stage in the future?
Well, no, it isn't quite that bad. I mean, Goodbody Stockbrokers did a figure lately, and their analysis would say that in the Dublin area, 1.2% of the housing, rather 1.3% of the housing stock is for sale at the moment. Now, in some of the rural counties, I think Roscommon had a figure in excess of 6 houses per 1,000 that are for sale at the moment. So it varies very substantially, and clearly Dublin has a growing population still, and a 1.2% stock would indicate that there will be a scarcity of houses in the Dublin area.
But what's likely to happen to a lot of these empty houses and the unfinished houses? Who's responsible for their upkeep, for example? Are we going to get more of these ghost estates? Are we going to see empty houses vandalised? Are we going to see building estates? I mean, you see even the side of the road, if you go Dublin to Cork, you see down, and I think it's in Urlingford, you have a hotel unfinished, which was supposed to be opened in the autumn of 2006, and you've got the shell built up at the side of the road, and you can get examples like that all over the country. Is there any responsibility in these people to finish out the work once it's started?
The responsibility rests with whoever owns the particular property, and even insurance-wise, there's quite a lot of conditions attached. The general insurance covers sites while they are under construction, but I think that insurance runs out as soon as the building is finished by about 3 months' time. So that's an issue that CIF have discussed with the insurance company at the moment. But generally, whoever choose to take the risk on building that particular issue. Now, in some sites, and you mentioned one, there can be disputes about sites that can cause.
I don't know the surfaces, but just passing it on the road, it's quite obvious.
It wouldn't. And I know this particular site, but there are individual sites that have been stalled up, and there's some very high-profile disputes that have appeared in the courts and so on. But generally, I think it is the lack of confidence, lack of demand at the moment, and the oversupply, and that's something that I think everybody, both the industry.
But even how far did the prices drop last year? The asking prices from builders, because all this unsold stock would suggest that the developers didn't drop their prices enough to get them moving. We had examples of Ray Grehan and Bernard McNamara offering these deals where they'd pay whatever the mortgage for the first 7 years, or interest only, or various deals and stuff that people didn't seem to go for. What evidence is there that the builders and developers took it seriously enough to just try and drop their prices to shift stock?
Well, I think we would reckon that prices have fallen and have been dropped over the last year and a half by about 30%. And, if houses aren't moving, And January is a pretty closed month. December, January, little or no activity. But come the 1st of February, people will attempt again to offer houses. I expect there will be further reductions in house price because there's extreme pressure coming on builders who have
From
stock.
the banks, is it to just shift the stock, take whatever you can get for them?
Well, obviously, I mean, it's no use to the bank. I mean, they don't want fire sale situation. But on the other hand, for the viability of people, pressure will come upon them to sell some stock at whatever price in order to repay interest and so on.
Okay, we have other guests, and I'll get to them in a second. But what support are you looking for from the government in relation to all of this unsold stock? Because presumably there'll be very little building of new houses and apartments going on to such stage as this overhang is gotten rid of. So what do you want the government?
I suppose the only area that there has been a good demand for house building has been the once-offs. And you'll see around the city where people are demolishing old houses and rebuilding. Very good value to be got. Obviously, you can get a building contractor, you can negotiate very good terms. Likewise, around the countryside, once-offs, a lot of those are happening. But in terms of the numbers, I mean, we would estimate there will be less than 20,000 houses built next year, which is going to be...
This year, 2009.
2009, which is going to be more than less than...
When was it as low as that before?
Oh, I'd say we're going back, 20 years now. I'd say we're going back 20 years.
And the numbers then employed, of course, obviously in building those 20,000 fall dramatically. Okay, what about the idea of social housing, that the state maybe buys these houses and puts people into them? Would the builders go for that if they got some cash coming in?
The builders would take the hand off anyone, I can tell you, Matt, for the moment, a customer for a house. I mean, we're told that the housing list has gone up towards 58,000. Now, there's probably a fair degree of duplication in that, and that people would apply to more than one council. And certainly some people looking for assisted rents would apply that mightn't be qualified. But certainly there is a lot of people seeking social housing. We've discussed this with Focus Ireland on a number of occasions. And there's certainly off-the-shelf solutions at the moment, in that in every townland, in every area of the city, there are unsold houses ready to sell and being offered at very good value. And in terms of terms being offered, certainly I think people would be very anxious to. I think people, it's a buyer's market, and I think people holding stock of houses would be extremely flexible in terms of any deal they might do at the moment.
Malachy